Hello and welcome to this special edition of The Hill with April Ryan, where we remember 60 years ago this week. It's been 60 years since a concentration of Black Americans and allies from other walks of life convened on the Lincoln Memorial and around the expanse of the reflecting pool. The culmination, the March on Washington. They heard from leaders like the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He spoke of his dream. It was part of a larger speech, but that portion closed his charge to America to pay up on the bounce check it had given the Negro. The March on Washington came in the wake of several deadly events that shook the nation. A few months earlier, in June 1963, Medgar Evers, the Mississippi NAACP Field Secretary, was murdered. He was the first person to hold that civil rights position in the state, believed by many to be one of the most racist states in this nation. The decorated World War II veteran was killed by white supremacist Byron Dilla Beckwith in front of his home while his wife and children were inside. Daniel Evers Everett spoke to theGrio about his grandfather's legacy.
But my grandfather showed me that no matter what, you respect and you learn to become better and make things better. He was a soldier. And not just a soldier in the military, he was a soldier, period. And he's always felt like that. That's what I was told. He was also a visionary. He saw the future.
The March on Washington was about more than hope. Those gathered around the Lincoln Memorial heard words that were challenging the government to do something about the conditions faced by the American Negro at that time. Dr. Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the head of the King Center in Atlanta, says the lessons learned in 1963 are still relevant today.
I think we have to find a way to coordinate what it is that we want to see. Even if it's the 10 things have priorities. These are the top 3, and this is how we're going to coordinate the efforts together. This group of people is going to be responsible for this part of the strategy, this part. It's a whole thing that I could talk about, but I think that's what's important today.
Some people might quip that things in America haven't changed since the 1950s and 60s. Dr. King has a differing opinion.
I always say to people, look very closely. We're not exactly where we were. You know, in 64 or 63, when they went to the march, there were very few registered Black voters. There were very few Black elected officials across the nation. And so we were on the outside. Now we're on the inside fighting against those things, versus back then, we didn't have inside advocates, inside access.
I recently caught up with Ann Walker Marchant. She worked in the Bill Clinton White House as a special assistant to the president for communications, research, and special projects. She says the Clinton administration made a point of keeping Black and disadvantaged America in their focus. Walker Marchant compares yesterday to today on matters of advancing issues of Black America.
And there's a systemic effort, I believe, to walk away from some of the initiatives that have been put into place, to discount them by saying that they're not fair to all. We've got a legacy of unfair things that have occurred in this country. And if we don't look at ways that we can repair that, we are going to keep repeating the same challenges that African Americans have over the years.
And finally, to Yusef Salaam, a member of the Exonerated Five, one of 5 teens wrongfully accused and convicted of raping a white woman in Central Park in 1989. He's now the Democratic nominee for a Harlem City Council seat. Salaam reflects on the sacrifice of Dr. King.
Dr. King was regulated to the dream. But the things that Dr. King left in this world that they tried to erase, the speeches that he made, the fearlessness of life that he presented as, was so important. and to be able to carry the torch forward, to be able to say, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams.
And that's it for this edition of The Hill. As the nation remembers 60 years ago, we say the words of the song that still ring true today: we shall overcome someday. Until next time, peace.